What's up, guys? Derek, moreplates.com. Today I want to talk about high dose testosterone versus stacking. So this would be, using more like a TRT level of testosterone or a, like barely supraphysiologic amount where you aren't running into estrogen control issues or severe, androgenicity issues. And then stacking anabolic steroids on top of that, like nandrolone, like primobolan, etc. Just kind of like what the point of it is and why I am sort of against high testosterone cycles in most cases. The first reason is most people, after you hit a certain threshold, that threshold is different for everyone. Some people can handle, 500 milligrams plus with no estrogen issues. And then some people can't even handle, 200 milligrams without having severe, gyno flare up, having, acne, hair loss, blah, blah, blah. Basically, the problem with the high test cycles is not necessarily that they're worse than stacking. In a tissue selectivity context, perhaps they are, but in a side effect context, you could argue a high test cycle is actually better than, stacking in some regards. But the problem is most people are putting themselves in a position where they have so much testosterone in their system that they're forced to use an aromatase inhibitor just to use that dose of testosterone. So I posted recently about the neurotoxicity in the body that occurs with the use of aromatase inhibitors in conjunction with therapeutic levels of testosterone and supraphysiological levels of testosterone. And at the end of the day, supraphysiological levels of androgens are going to be neurotoxic regardless of what you're using. But the estrogen is what is going to provide this neuroprotective effect and help attenuate the neurotoxicity and cardiotoxicity associated with supraphysiological androgen use. So if you're using testosterone to the point where you have to use an aromatase inhibitor to lower it, not only are you spiking cardio and neurotoxicity in the body by inhibiting aromatase, but in addition to that, you're adding a layer of oxidative stress on top of the testosterone use that you already have in your system to begin with. You're adding another drug into the equation just so you can use a higher dose of a drug that you already can't handle. So that is sort of like what my stance is on the high dose testosterone versus stacking. The reason why I am against just blasting testosterone into the sky is most people are not going to be able to handle it. Obviously, this is an individual dependent thing. Some people can handle high doses of testosterone. And when you want to argue, bioidentical hormone versus synthetic, obviously there's debate there on what is actually going to be healthier, even with an aromatase inhibitor versus not with an aromatase inhibitor with the synthetics. But at the end of the day, in my opinion, when you're adding this additional layer of oxidative stress with the AI, in addition, inhibiting the literal enzyme you need to mediate a lot of the protective effects that are going to attenuate the negative response to androgens in the body, it's kind of like 2 steps forward, 1 step back, when you could just be taking 3 steps forward with less drugs, in my opinion. You know what I mean? Like, it's kind of, I don't know how else to put it, but basically, like, I would rather do, a whatever amount of test my body can handle with no estrogen issues without an AI. And then once, whatever androgen load on my body I can handle, above and beyond that, I would be stacking more tissue selective compounds and having no AI, because at that point it's just like I'd be taking another drug just to be able to take a higher dose of a drug that I'm already not responding well to, and adding several layers of oxidative stress to my body unnecessarily that I could potentially just avert entirely by using a lower drug load on my system to achieve the same level of muscle that I would had I had to use, 600 milligrams test plus 25 milligrams of aromasin per day, when I could have, just used 300 test and, a bit of, Primo or something. You know what I mean? It's kind of like, there's arguments for both sides, but that's sort of my stance on it. And if I was to go back in time to when I was, doing this, my first cycle was 500 mgs of test. And I didn't need that whatsoever. Even getting to the point where I would have been stacking, it would have been several cycles down the line where I would have been stacking things on top of whatever my top end dose of test I could handle without an AI was. The point of this video is essentially that I just don't think that you need to assess your individual tolerance to estrogenic side effects and androgenic side effects, I suppose. And at that point, you need to make an educated, assessment of what would be the lowest stress on your body with the maximum results. And at that point, This is all individual dependent at the end of the day, like I mentioned, but just in a context of what I would have done had I gone back in time, it probably would have, been avoiding the use of AIs at all costs and looking at more tissue selective compounds to stack on top of, my test base to try and yield the most muscle accrual with the least drug load and oxidative stress on my body possible, and without inhibiting mechanisms in the body that are literally there to attenuate the response that is negative in the body to the androgens in the first place. So that is my stance on it. So take from that what you will. Thank you guys for watching. Please like, subscribe. Check out my blog, moreplates.moredates.com, Facebook, Snapchat, Twitter, Instagram at moreplates_moredates, TikTok, BitChute, wherever else I am, Apple Podcasts. Sign up to the mailing list. First link description below if you want to get notified anytime I publish an article. Articles are far more elaborate than the videos with, professionally broken down subsections, table of contents, clinical citations for you guys to delve into further yourself, and are simply a polished version of my videos and are far more palatable and include things that just don't make fucking sense when I talk about it because I like to ramble. So anyways, highly recommend you guys sign up for that. Talk to you guys soon.